Nope. Is this, sorry, is the amendment carried? And then is the item as amended carried?
Carried.
Um, and then we also have the item from the treasurer's report on 2024 growth-related revenues. We hadn't anticipated a presentation. I know the members have read that one. Did members wish that one to be held?
Just have a comment. No one else wants to.
Do you want to make a quick comment now, and then we can let Gary go?
Sure. So I just wanted to build off the comments that I made at PWIC last week and highlight a couple of things. So even though 2024 saw higher development charge revenue in several categories, including roads and related services, the year-over-year spending on road growth projects actually decreased. So in 2023, city spent 45 million on growth related roads, and in 2024 it dropped to 43 million despite stronger revenues. So what I'm seeing with my projects is that the major East End road projects that I know you can all name are at the EA or design stage. They're not generating expenditures, while other projects in the west and south growth areas are advancing because they are further along in design readiness. So in 2024, 172 million in net transfers were made from the reserves to eligible growth projects. And at year end, there remained 745 million in outstanding budgeted capital transfers, but 683 million is forecasted debenture payments tied to growth infrastructure. So what I wanted to point out about that is that although the reserve balances appear healthy, the vast majority of the funds are already committed or borrowed against, leaving very little room for new projects, which we know are in the east. And again, the west and south projects can continue to draw disproportionately from the roads DC reserve. So the last thing I wanted to point out was that in the report, staff explicitly warn about long-term financial sustainability if growth-related infrastructure continues to be exempt from development charges without alternative replacement funding source. And in 2024 alone, the city had to transfer 2.9 million from general revenues to backfill a shortfall created by non-statutory exemptions. So this is something that I have been warning against as we kick the tires on DC reductions. So I wanted to point that out as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kitts. The comment is noted by staff and by your colleagues. Members, is the Treasurer's report received? Thank you. So we'll go back to our one held item, which is 258 Durocher Street. Before Eric gives us a quick overview of what that is, I think Councillor Troster, on behalf of Councillor Plante, has a motion.
Thank you, Chair. Whereas the Ottawa Humane Society, a nonprofit organization, is proposing to develop and operate an animal welfare hub consisting of an animal hospital, animal care establishment, a retail store, a retail food store, and a training center within an existing building on the property municipally known as 258 Durocher Street. And whereas the Humane Society's proposal represents a change of use from an institutional use to commercial use with an existing building which does not qualify for an exemption from the cash in lieu of conveyance of parkland requirements under Section 11 of bylaw number 2022-280 as amended, being the Parkland Dedication Bylaw. And whereas the Ottawa Humane Society is seeking an exemption by council from the cash in lieu of conveyance parkland requirements of bylaw number 2022-280 as amended, being Parkland Dedication Bylaw. And whereas the City of Ottawa Planning Services and Parks and Facilities Planning Department staff were consulted on the exemption proposal and are supportive of the proposal's exemption, since the Ottawa Humane Society is a nonprofit organization and the proposal offers free of charge nonprofit community funded and publicly accessible services which otherwise aligns with the general intent of Section 11 of bylaw number 2022-280 as amended, being Parkland Dedication Bylaw. Whereas the exemption forgoes revenue to the city at 2% of the land's valuation, the value of the land is not known at this time. Therefore, be it resolved that the Planning and Housing Committee recommend council approve an exemption from the cash in lieu of conveyance of parkland requirements of bylaw 2022-280 as amended, being the Parkland Dedication Bylaw for an animal welfare hub to be developed within an existing building on the property municipally known as 258 Durocher Street and operated by the Ottawa Humane Society. And be it further resolved that the applicable parkland or cash in lieu of conveyance of parkland requirement be waived in its entirety for the animal welfare hub to be developed within an existing building on the property municipally known as 258 Du Rocher Street and operated by the Ottawa Humane Society.
Another great motion. Knocking them out of the park today. Thank you. So Eric and Andrew, what is this?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. I believe I have a presentation with some images I've shared with the committee coordinator.
While that's coming up, I just want to
Okay.
extend my thanks
Great.
to make
So
getting
I'll
this through
just get
quickly.
started anyways with the introduction. My name is Eric Forehand and I'm a planner with Development Review Central. And today I'll be presenting a zoning bylaw amendment application to rezone 258 Du Rocher Street from an institutional zone to a general mixed-use zone, urban exception to permit a change of use from institutional to commercial uses within an existing building at the subject property to support the development of an animal welfare hub. Next slide, please. 258 Du Rocher Street is located within the Vanier neighborhood, kind of in the center of a residential neighborhood, north of Montreal Road and east of Vanier Parkway. The subject property abuts public road on 3 of its 4 sides and abuts low-rise immediately to the north. The subject property is located in the interurban transect policy area and it is designated neighborhood with an evolving neighborhood overlay. Next slide, please. These are some good images that show the existing conditions of the site, which are generally to remain the same. Kind of the top left photo, you see the loading and parking area. You see on the right top corner of the page, existing and which is a full and mature tree canopy, so that will remain the same. There are also 2 existing entrances to the site that will remain the same. One of the entrances from the east is shown at the bottom left corner of the screen. And then also a bottom right corner, there's a shot there from Montreal Road and Vanier, the intersection of those 2 streets that show how the subject property is close to Trip bus transit and other amenities along Montreal Road. Next slide, please. This is the site plan, which shows the existing building, which is to be converted to house an animal hospital, an animal care establishment, a retail store, a retail food store, and a training center. There's no exterior changes to the building, and existing conditions are, as I mentioned before, generally to remain the same. Next slide, please. This is just our typical zoning map showing the subject property being rezoned from, as I mentioned before, the institutional zone to the GM zone. Again, this site-specific exception will permit the proposed uses. It'll also prohibit uses that are not appropriate within the neighborhood designation. And it also establishes a height suffix of 14.5 meters, which will limit development to low rise in keeping with the neighborhood designation policies. Next slide, please. So staff have reviewed the applicable policy and regulatory framework. We consider the proposal to be consistent with the provincial planning statement 2024, and then also the proposed uses satisfy the criteria for introducing small-scale non-residential uses in the neighborhood designation and support the development of 15-minute neighborhoods within this part of the neighborhood designation, and therefore the proposal is in conformity with the official plan. Altogether, our recommendation is based on the fact that staff believe that the proposal is appropriate and represents good land use planning. And I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Eric. We'll get a chance to come back to city staff after hearing from delegations. There is a single public delegation, Mona Kiami, to whom we'll give 5 minutes. And then the applicants are here as well if they wanted to take 5 minutes. Good morning, Mona. Welcome to Planning and Housing Committee. Whenever you're ready, you have 5 minutes to make a presentation to the committee, at which point members of the committee may or may not have questions for you.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. Bonjour à tous. Thank you for allowing me to share my observations relating to the proposal of the zoning bylaw for 258 Du Rocher Street in Vanier. My name is Mona Kami, and I'm here as a practicing artist who has spent most of her artistic life working in the development of Lebanese performing arts in Ottawa with the El Arz Lebanese Art Group, who incidentally had its post office box at 258 Du Rocher from 1976 until the building's closure. I stand here today to ask you to reconsider the proposed zoning or bylaw as an opportunity to help strengthen the connection between community organizations and the arts community of Ottawa. The redevelopment proposal is quite exciting, and I look forward to seeing it coming to life. However, when I learned that the building, which is located in Vanier, made no provisions for the use of space by the arts community, I wondered why. How could the city pass up the chance to encourage synergy between a local nonprofit community-based organization such as the Ottawa Humane Society and the local arts community, who desperately needs dedicated space for creation and training in the Vanier area? I'd like to bring to your attention the City of Ottawa's own efforts to leverage the benefits of the arts and culture to support the revitalization of Vanier. In 2019, Council approved the Building Better Revitalized Neighborhoods project. One of its objectives was to support the life and work of artists in Vanier. It also targeted the revitalization of the heritage, cultural, and creative sector, and the establishment of Vanier as a cultural and creative district. Specifically, the initiative focused on revitalization through new and existing program and service initiatives, infrastructure, as well as redevelopment projects. Following 5 years of deep collaboration with the Vanier community, the Vanier Culture in Action Plan was born. 9 goals guide the action plan, which I will read. 1, oversee initiatives that enhance Vanier's cultural life. 2, enhance cultural life in traditional main streets. 3, enhance cultural life in public spaces and plazas. 4, celebrate diversity and welcoming newcomers through cultural programming and initiatives. 5, revitalize Vanier's image as a thriving cultural hub. 6, acknowledge and collaborate with Indigenous residents and Indigenous cultural organizations in Vanier. 7, include cultural spaces into a Vanier secondary plan consistent with the Montreal Road secondary plan. 8, revitalize Richelieu Vanier Community Center by offering and encouraging more cultural and artistic programming. Promote the Museo Parc Vanier as a tourist destination. The action plan identifies 39 action items framed around these 9 goals. In the interest of time, I will share 3 actions I believe most relevant to this discussion. Explore how zoning amendments can allow cultural activities on second floor of properties. 2, explore how new developments may incorporate land use in pre-feasibility studies in this priority neighborhood. 3, integrate cultural and connected programming into school board properties. While the second and third actions are not necessarily compatible with the zoning bylaw proposal, I bring them forward to remind you that City's Cultural Development and Initiatives Unit did substantial mapping, research, and analysis and identified Vanier as, and I quote here, the neighborhood with the greatest potential for culture to positively impact residents socially and economically. With a wealth of information and documents about how the arts and culture can play a role in the revitalization of Vanier, I ask again, why did the city not identify this redevelopment project as an opportunity to support the Vanier revitalization efforts? Can the city, at this stage in the process, reconsider the zoning request and propose that the retail and training spaces in the building be dedicated space for use by local nonprofit arts organizations working in music, dance, and theater? A quick environmental scan reveals that accessible infrastructure for the arts is flagrantly missing from the Vanier Saint Laurent catchment area. And knowing that many artists and arts organizations would welcome the idea of an arts center in the heart of Vanier, this redevelopment project has the attributes necessary to bridge the visible infrastructure gap that hinders the arts community's capacity to contribute wholesomely to the potential and vibrancy of Vanier. I'd like to close by saying that I believe in the power of collaboration and community-led projects to achieve goals and make dreams come true. I was truly inspired by the recent launch of the Vanier Hub located at Marier Avenue, which turned a parking lot into an outdoor community space designed and built by Carleton University's Architecture Action Lab. I see the Du Rocher Street project as another exciting opportunity to convert a currently silent space into a dynamic and creative hub that welcomes artistic expressions that attract and foster talent and contribute to community connection and identity. I hope you see this too. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Kame, thank you very much for your presentation. I don't see any questions for you. I certainly would encourage you to touch base with Councillor Plant, who I know is pursuing various different opportunities to promote the arts in Vanier. Your request is outside of the scope of what we can accomplish through a zoning application, which is very narrowly focused. But I know we all have significant sympathy for what you're asking. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, so are there any questions for staff? I don't see any. Councillor Troster had moved a motion on behalf of Councillor Plant. Is that, oh, I'm sorry. Did the applicants are here. Did you want to take any time to respond to what you've heard, or do you need to speak if we're prepared to carry this? Thank you. So sorry, the Councillor Troster motion? Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to get a staff comment on the motion that Councillor Troster read in.
Chair, the motion, the motion is to waive the cash in lieu of parkland for this building. The rationale being that it's an existing structure and that the use is tied to a nonprofit use.
And staff are aligned with that intent?
Staff are aligned with that intent.
That's good enough. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Brockington. So is the Troster/Plant amendment carried?
Carried.
And is the report carried as amended?
Carried.
Thank you. We did have, sorry, one other item, the status update planning and housing committee inquiries and motions for the period ending November 21st, 2025. Is that carried? Carried. Thank you. We have no in-camera items. There is an information previously distributed on cash in lieu of Parkland. Councillor Lowe?
Yeah, quick question. I could, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just a quick question for staff. I know there's last time we talked about this, it was suggested that the litigation, I guess that's before the OLT, is nearing its end. So I'm just curious if that is still the case, and when may we expect to see the held funds released?
I'll assume that committee has no issue with the question being raised. Staff?
Mr. Chair, I wrote to the appellants, well, I've written to the appellants several times, but I recently wrote to the appellants and asked them to identify to the city by Friday if they have any outstanding issues. And I will proceed on the basis of whatever response I receive, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lowe. Seeing no other discussion on that item, are there any notices of motion for a subsequent meeting? None. Does anyone wish to make an inquiry? Nope. We have no other business. We are adjourned until our next regular meeting is actually on Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. But don't get excited because we'll be back meeting with our colleagues in the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee in a joint meeting on December the 17th, possibly the 18th. We'll see whether we go into the 19th. Thank you very much, everyone.